Business Line Radio. Welcome. The big news of the past 8 decades is that Utah is accepting silver and gold as a currency. Are we on the road as a nation to remonetizing the dollar? The mainstream media seems very quiet about this. Let's find out why with silver expert David Morgan. David Morgan has a worldwide reputation as a leading authority regarding silver and is proprietor of the website silver.wmv.com. David, so nice to talk with you again.
Well, John, it's great to be with you.
Tell us about this Utah bill.
Absolutely. I just returned from a trip where there was a ceremonial signing by the governor of Utah. It is the enactment of using gold and silver on a voluntary basis to be used in payment throughout the state. So what this means is that a merchant can elect to use gold or silver in payment, or a citizen. And what I find intriguing is that it will not be taxed, because it can't tax money at the state level. So there's no capital gains taxes at the state level for a citizen of Utah, which is really quite intriguing when you think about it. On top of that, it's the implementation of these things that can be a hurdle. But while I was there for the ceremonial signing, what I discovered is that one of the leading gold and silver guys in the state has a depository. And what he is going to implement is that anyone, again on a voluntary basis, that wants to deposit gold and silver United States bullion coins, which means silver eagles or gold eagles, with the depository will be issued a debit card. And the debit card, of course, is something that we're all familiar with on a daily basis, obviously. You would be issued that debit card, and so when you make a transaction in any merchant facility and they run your debit card, you would be debiting out a certain amount of gold or silver or whatever. And it's basically transparent to the merchant. So I thought this was a bit of a stroke of genius on how you could really implement a gold or silver currency in the state that could really work. Certainly you could work with gold and silver coins. And of course that's really the foundation of the United States. We're on an honest money system. But in today's world, let's face it, everything's done in the plastic realm or a credit card or a debit card. So if you can implement that form and still have it gold and or silver backed, I think they're really onto something.
Do they have to charge like interest, or will, if you have a certain amount of dollars, gold or silver on deposit, I imagine if the price of silver and gold goes up, your value obviously goes up with it, right?
Exactly. And I think there's some wrinkles here that have to be ironed out. I don't know every detail. I'm not sure that they know every detail, but the foundation is there. And I want to bring a question, from you to me, because it's really an important question. And that's Gresham's Law. And Gresham's Law is basically, you're going to spend the bad money and you're going to save the good money.
Yeah.
So that gets thrown up, quite a bit. In other words, well, this is a great idea, but it's impractical because people will not do it because they're going to save in gold and silver and they're going to spend the fiat because, to do otherwise would be,
In other words, hoarding.
Yeah. And I have been through this before because, digressing slightly, Hugo Salinas Price of Mexico has introduced a bill throughout the country that's somewhat similar to this that allows silver to ride alongside the peso and be used in transactions, again, on a voluntary basis. So coming back to the Utah situation, I am a big proponent of free markets, as anyone that knows me would know, and I'm not so sure that people wouldn't use it. Here's an example. Since there is no capital gains tax on this at the state level, let's say hypothetically that somebody has bought a lot of silver around the $5 to $6 level, and they see it at the $50 level, and they've been, they decide they want to buy, name it, I don't care, but just for talking purposes, they want to buy big screen TV. It's on sale, and they think 50 looks pretty pricey for silver. They think there might be a correction or not, whatever. And they decide to put their debit card down that's fully backed by precious metals, and they make the purchase. I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility. Now, I'm not saying this thing is going to catch on instantly. I'm not going to say that Gresham's Law doesn't play into people's thinking. But I'm also open-minded enough and enough of a free market proponent to say, you know what, let's let the market decide. There might be people out there that say, you know what, this is a way for me to spend those capital gains and not pay tax at the state level. I want to do it. You know, one of the biggest questions I get from especially new people is, you know, I'd like to buy gold and silver, but how do I sell it?
Right.
I'm so scared. Who do I sell it to? Well, that's an easy thing to overcome. But yeah, here's another way. You don't have to sell it. You can spend it. So again, I think this has the much greater potential than the Gresham's Law proponents only. In other words, to believe that, you know, no one's going to implement this, no one's going to use it, it's going to die, it's a great, you know, moral victory, and that's all it's going to be. I don't know. If it were me and I was in that state, I'd probably offer a discount to my service if it was paid in silver.
Mm-hmm.
So and I think a lot of merchants could do this. It's like, well, here's the price in fiat. You know, it's $100.
Okay.
But if you pay me in silver, I'll discount it to, you know, $89 or whatever.
I guess all someone has to do, they start this ball rolling with fiat currency. They would say, well, I have $1,000 here. I'm going to put $1,000 into the state depository debit card, and that will get me how much? $1,000 worth of silver, or the spot price value?
Yeah, and I don't know if he does. Well, since it's coin-based, it would have to be silver in that case. It'd be, you know, silver plus a fraction of fiat on reserve, or however he's going to do it. I don't want to speak for him. I did speak to him at length, but couldn't drill down every single question. He didn't have an answer for every question.
I got you, sure.
The point being is that gold's roughly $1,500 per ounce or per coin right now. But,
sure.
Well, I want to test the waters. I'm going to throw $500 into this. I'm going to get issued my debit card. I'm going to see how it goes.
Right.
But the more people that do that and the more it catches on, and maybe, again, there's merchants out there, and I'm not saying there will be, but I can pretty much bet that there will be, that give a discount for paying in real money. I think it could get some momentum fairly quickly.
In a way, an economic man has landed on the moon, and the media is very quiet about this. Don't you find that strange?
I do, and what's so interesting about that question, John, is that the media is so quiet in the United States. But what I found out when I was there is that this is being watched by big newspapers in the United Kingdom, in Australia, throughout Europe. I don't know about the Asian newspapers, but there's been a lot written about this outside of the United States, and I found that fascinating that these other countries are not asleep at the wheel. They're very interested in what Utah's done. And I think actually the New York Times did write something about it, so I want to be fair here.
Was it positive or negative?
I think it was neutral.
Okay.
I glanced at the article. I don't have a copy of it. Regardless, I think what's important is that it's been accomplished, and of course now we have to wait and see, how much traction we get.
Based upon the passage of this bill, do you see the rest of the country following suit, or what do you think is going to happen here?
Well, I think what will happen is you'll see more and more states, unlike the several that have already had similar legislation, that actually get passed. So you'll see, 1 state, 2 states, 3 states, and maybe, let's say 10 states. Once you get to some level, and I'm going to pick the number 10, it's the idea that I want to emphasize, not the number, but a certain number of states enact it, then you'll probably see a landslide where there's really starting to be pressure at the federal level. And once that takes place, who knows? Maybe America can go back on an honest money system.
With your organization, you're launching a concept known as Silver Saver. Tell us about that.
Okay, well, it wasn't really my concept, just to be clear, but it's very good friends of mine that have launched a Silver Saver program, and it implements gold and silver. And it's a debit system out of your checking account. So what it is it's a monthly accumulation program. And you elect, I think you can start for as little as $100 a month and save in silver or gold or both, of course, upon your voluntary basis, to say, I want to save $100 a month, take it out of my checking account on the 15th of the month, month after month. So it does 2 things. It allows you to save in precious metals. It also disciplines you to save every month, and you're saving in, currency that's proven over thousands of years to be, safe, all build your wealth. And it's a very simple concept. It's been around now for a bit more than a year, and it's really starting to catch fire. What's interesting is that one of my friends, who is one of the principals of the Silver Saver program, was also asked to be at this ceremonial signing. And I didn't know it until the day before. He contacted me and said, "You're going to be in Utah." And I said, "That's correct." He says, "So am I."
Hey.
So it was kind of a coincidence, you might say.
My other question was going to be in reference to Idaho. This cannot be transacted over state lines, right? I'm in Florida, therefore I can't partake of the state depository in Idaho, correct?
This was thrown on the table, and I want to be as legally accurate as I can.
Okay, all right.
But you got your debit card from Utah, and you're in Tennessee, and you transact business, and it comes out of the state depository in Utah. Is that a crime? I don't think so.
All
But
right.
I think I don't know. The way it was explained to me, not saying that it's correct, was that once you're issued that card and you're a citizen of Utah, doesn't matter where you travel, you're still a citizen of Utah, and you can implement your money anywhere.
Silver Saver we can do over state lines, right?
Oh yeah. That's in fact, John, that's throughout the United States anywhere, and it's going to be approved for Canadians very, very soon. And once it is, I'll do a bit of a campaign letting my friends in Canada know that this is a great way to dollar cost average into the precious metals.
This must be a very exciting time for you.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't want to make too big a deal out of it, but you said it and I'll back you up. It's a historic moment. I mean, June 2nd, 2011, may, we don't know yet, go down as a very big turning point or tipping point in monetary history, where one state came to the fore and said, you know what? We are going to start using honest money on a voluntary basis.
This is a currency reformation.
Exactly.
Well, David, thank you so much for being here on Business Line Radio.
John, it's been a pleasure.
And that is David Morgan, leading authority on silver. And you can find out more about David Morgan at silverinvestor.com. That's silver-investor.com. For Business Line Radio, I'm John St. George. Thank you very much for listening.